Welcome back to the 62nd edition of the Faenza Prize. We are very happy to continue this tradition of talks, which allows the public to meet and dialogue with the selected artists. The judging panel had a thought and serious job this year. 1,100 works from 723 artists, participants from 60 nations. I'd like to thank the jury for the great work done. And my companions in this edition are Professor Judith Schwartz, well-known art historian and the president of Museum of Ceramic Art in New York, Ranti Tjan, who is the chairman today, director of the Academy of Fine Arts in Hague, and well-known former director of EKBC Center, Tomohiro Daicho, senior curator of MoMAC in Kyoto, and Irene Biolchini, guest curator of MIC Faenza. Till May 9th, we will be online each Tuesday to meet the artist. 49 over 35 years old and 21 under 35. So the news of this edition is the residency program for the young winner. Our museum will host the winner in summer for producing a few works to be exhibited in autumn in our project room. This exhibition will be curated by Irene Biolchini, member of the jury and the guest curator of MIC. So I thank everybody for being with us, especially the artist and Ranti. Ranti, thank you very much for your time, both as jurors and in these talks. I leave you the floor to this first talk of the Faenza Prize. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Claudia. Thank you so much for this invitation. And it is really a pleasure to be here again, because you mentioned the tradition. I think it's quite a young tradition that we can do it this way, because with the social media, with Facebook, with YouTube, we know that people from all over the world are watching us. And I think last year, 2 years ago, it was such a great experience to notice that one from completely other side of the world send messages or get in touch with us, or even better, with the artist. And I think that's one of the main goals that we're trying to achieve here. So it's really great to see you all. We have 5 artists to speak with today. One who was on the list, Dorna Abyak, can't be with us because she's from Iran. And this is also quite important to notice. So we know that they're suffering there at this very moment, but it's great that Faenza is taking the opportunity to see if it is possible to make a video with her work and show that later on. So alas, Dorna Abyak cannot be with us, but it's great that we have Elysia Athanatos, Kosmas Ballis, Sofia Beca, Sara Pschorn, and Lisa Reiter. What we're going to do is we are just going to have some nice talks. All the artists prepared some images that we will show and we will discuss them. And I suggest that at the end of the talks, then we'll go and have a look at the questions. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm quite sure that you know how to do this. I can't, but I'm sure you can. And then we will read them, and at the end we will try to address the questions to the artist and get into it. All right, well, I suggest we just start, let's say, in alphabetically order, so you know at what moment we will get back to you. And I'd like to start with Elysia Athanatos. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Elysia?
Perfect. Yes, okay. Perfect.
All right. Perfect. So, and we're starting with this very nice image.
Yeah.
please just elaborate a little bit on what you did and how you made this large piece.
Okay. Well, okay, this is a bit of a journey, let's say. I've started working on kind of the same project 7 years ago, which is, it was about this space, an empty space, and the feelings of emptiness, and how we can overcome this by filling this space with light. Okay, I've been working with. I have a sculptor's background, but I came into ceramics like about 14 years ago, and ever since I've been just attached to a potter's wheel, and this gave me the opportunity to work on the inside and the outside of, and the relationship of this inside and outside. So it's a big vessel. I call it loving light, because it's this emptiness which is filled with the light that we reflect in ourselves. And it was, I have to say, it's like a fragment of these past 7 years, because this subject has taken many directions. I like working with architecture, and I'd like to work, I mean, it goes through many roads, and this is kind of the essential one, which is the vessel.
And if I may ask, why is the vessel so essential in this matter? Because you started as a sculptor.
Yeah, it's not something that I really know how to answer, because it just happened. I mean, it's like, well, it's essential because working on the wheel, you really work on the inside and the outside on the same time. And I'm kind of self-taught, and I've been working with, I consider that I work with all the elements. It's like the water makes it more soft, so I can work with it, and I use fire to strengthen bits, and I work with these throughout all the process. And it's a very like 100% concentration in the moment. So I'm in connection with the piece while I'm working on it, and like if I'm on top doing something, my head is also down there while it's moving, and that's why it has this kind of movement into it. Actually, years after, I found out that also in alchemy, the symbol of the vessel, the alchemic vessel, is the spirit, I forgot the word, but yeah.
Okay.
So it really kind of touches the point of like this inside essence of something, and then with the gold being filled inside, it just completes it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's clear.
Yeah, well, I think it doesn't have to be clear, but we want to be curious, and then we get even more curious if you talk about it. And I know that we have artists looking at us at this video, but also people from the ceramic world. How large is it? It looks quite large, right?
Yes, it's about 75 of diameter and about 80 of height.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that ceramists want to know this. You lustered the inside, is
Yes,
that right?
yeah.
Okay. Is it porcelain or earthenware?
It's stoneware. It's a black stoneware.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is a good introduction to your work. And I would like to ask everyone, please come to Faenza and see it in real, because this is something which is, I think, so interesting to see the real work, because it's quite large.
Yeah.
And it really, I think it will live when you see it, the light and the scale. So, Elysia, thank you very much for this short talk. And
thank you very much.
and I think, oh, sorry for this, I'm quite large now, but okay, let's go further and talk with Kosmas. Kosmas Ballis, are you there? Can you hear us? I think,
hello?
Yes, there you are.
Okay.
All right.
I've been
Okay.
having a problem with the connection for some reason, but anyway, I'm here.
This sounds good. This sounds loud and clear.
Yeah, everything's coming in good now. And I just want to
Okay.
thank you for the opportunity for this. And how do I set up my slideshow to show it?
It will be done by Faenza. It's I think you send it to them and they will.
I already did it, but I don't. Oh,
Yes,
here we go.
There
Okay.
we go. And
Okay,
maybe
so
it's just nice, Kosmas, before you start, because I know you're a good speaker. Do you remember when we met?
of course,
Where was it?
it was an Inga
Yes,
for
right.
the Biennale. It was awesome, and so that's pretty much what changed my life in so much as my approach to ceramics. And it was really exciting. It was invigorating, and something unlike I'd ever imagined would come out of that. So I was in Asia for 9 months,
Right.
and
Yes.
yes, and I started messing around with resin, poly resin. And when I was in Inga, I started just testing out what I could do with it. And I just kind of dabbled, so to say. I only had a few cans of it. And then when I got to Shangyu, which are the two pieces that you see on the left,
Mhm.
I started completely testing the limitations of the resin and seeing what I could get away with. And so the pieces on the left, those are large. Those are about 5 feet tall, and they were basically crumbling out of the kiln. And the guys were laughing at me and all that, but we were able to take that out of the kiln, and one of them I think was in like maybe 7 or 8 pieces, and we were able to
Oh,
reconstruct it with the resin. And that was exciting, and I was able to rearrange it in different ways. And eventually, throughout my testing and all that, I completely abandoned glaze as the initial thing that would keep it together. And I found that very liberating, because ceramics is so uh, constrictive in that sense, as far as uh, you just have to be so careful even when you're moving it in some instances. So I was able to try these different things structurally, visually, basically doing everything like I had done in my previous work. And you can see here in this slide some more sticks that I started putting together with the resin. And then eventually, when you get to the next slide, you can kind of see what I'm doing now in the studio. Turn the slide, please. Those pieces here on the slide are small. I did a lot of tests to kind of see how it would work. I ended up doing really huge pieces when I was in Jin Deshen, and that was
right.
exciting. And
Yeah.
that's where I was able to like really delve into my archaeology self and get stuff that was being torn down, old ceramic stuff and antiques that, I'm sure Jing Deshen is like completely changed now, much more polished. Like that was the direction it was going. But
Yep.
anyway, if you could turn to the next slide, whoever's Stephania, or do I do it?
No, I think maybe it's automatically. I'm not sure. Kosmas, about the resin, because you add that afterwards, right? After firing.
I do it while I'm doing it, and so I'll just show this last piece before we go to the final slide. This piece
Okay.
is basically assembled, and I can assemble these pieces as I'm building it, and that's the beauty of it, because in the kiln you really only have one big shot, and structurally you could never do this stuff in the kiln. So if you could play the video, that can play simultaneously, and so I'm able to. I actually had put another slide. The other slide of followers was supposed to be up, but you can kind of see what's going on here as far as how it's assembled and all that. So followers, and I'll wait until the video plays. The video's on the right side. So originally I was doing evolutionary bouquets was a series of ceramic works I came up with out of grad school. That was around 2000. And I wanted to make beautiful things out of ceramics. And so I figured it was an interesting approach to take ceramic objects. And in the time I was doing slipcast and putting them together and forming these arrangements that were with animals and different objects and things that were kind of like evolving as I was building them. And they pretty much evolved and evolved. And I did some big ones, and I was inspired by tragedies, environmental tragedies like the Fukushima disaster and the BP Deepwater Horizon incident that happened where millions of gallons of oil were spilled. But really my and if you could play the video, that would be awesome, because that way it's going as I'm speaking, because it's only 5 minutes. But anyway, followers is a piece that is an extension of my Anthropocene series, and Anthropocene is the era that we live in, and it's what brought me to Inga is the piece titled Anthropocene, and it's essentially, it was one of my last pieces that I did in the United States that was slipcast and dealt with these evolutionary things and harms to the environment and all that. And it's just, that's pretty much my inspiration. And I use this really interesting process of India ink on the bare clay body, and it would cover the entire surface of the clay except for where the glaze was. And it was a perfect way to take these really complex structures and just get perfect coverage on the piece and all that. Is the video not playing? The video is
No,
really
I'm
cool.
sorry. Yeah, but I'm afraid that the video is not working, so we have to skip that part. I'm sorry for that, but probably we can later on try to edit it. But at this moment, it's not working, so we're live. So that's the, well, we have to, you have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It just basically showed the process, and it's like, so I'm doing the same exact thing that I was doing with the evolutionary bouquets, the pieces that I was doing on these, like the Anthropocene piece that I had in Inga, where it's essentially an arrangement of an abstract conglomeration of whatever it is that I decided to work with. So in that sense, I'm able to take, now I'm working completely in pre-fired tiles and all that, and I have rings of alumina that are 95% alumina, pieces that I don't necessarily have to fire in a kiln, but I can take and cut with a wet saw. And so I'm getting a really interesting mixture of different clays, from all over the world. One's in Brazil, one's in Italy, some's from China, some's from the United States, some's from Mexico. But it allows me to work with the terracotta, with stoneware, with porcelain, and not having to worry about shrinkage rates and all that, place these things together in the exact same way. So followers, which we don't have the picture of, which was what accepted into the exhibition, is essentially about truth seeking. And the arrangement that it's in has 13 birds at the top. I'm very into superstitions and all that, and that's something that I got from my experience in Shangyu as well, with 13 stitches in my leg. You don't want to be in a Chinese hospital. And so, yeah, so I constructed followers, 13 of these birds. The birds are white, which represents kind of like a purity and an innocence. And we're in this age now where there's just so much information, and people can choose what their truths are by surrounding themselves in these echo chambers. And so there's fewer leaders nowadays, and I don't know, I see it a lot happening in the United States, where there's just a lot of lies in the upper echelons of government and all that, and it's really frustrating. It's scary, and it's probably only going to get worse with AI and stuff like that, building upon AI and all that, and on human experience and all that. And so essentially it's a comment on our society, and keeping with the Anthropocene. I think it's a great thing. Technology is awesome and all that, but a lot of people just fall innocently victims to this sort of stuff. And so again, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and Kosmas, the birds that you use, did they come out of your imagination, or are they existing birds?
Well, I originally used a lot of birds that I would cast in ceramic and in slip cast, and I would put them into these arrangements, and they would be like kind of like living things after I would put the birds and the animals in it. And so what I did was I to make it pretty much as streamlined as I could without having to use a kiln, I was able to outsource the materials like the birds and the rings, which I was able to find a factory that could produce them to specification. And so I have had this stuff in my mind for a long time. I would have explained some of the joinery techniques that I've had, but I'm very inventive in the way that I work, and that as I'm working, I know what I want to do, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. And so that to me is the excitement, the fun, is that I just know that, that it's going to be in somewhat of a certain, it has to go vertical, and it has to stand up. And so the resin's awesome. It's better than glaze. I can color it. I can keep it clear. It's stronger than glaze, and I don't have to worry about temperatures and all that other technical stuff at this point, And so
it's good. It's good just to think not too much about the technical stuff, and I think that's what you're doing in a great way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Kosmas, I think we should leave it for this moment.
Sure.
And I think there will be some questions later on. And
I'll
thank you very much for... Yeah, all right, please stay tuned. And I would like to introduce Sofia now, Sofia Beca. Let's see if you're also in the room. Yes, you are. Nice to meet you, Sofia. And I hope you have also sound. Let's just keep trying. Well, I think it will be... Yes.
Maybe now?
Yes, you are in. Yeah, great. Okay. Well, also, thank you very much for joining this session, and also staying in touch with the international ceramic world. And it's great to see your work. Could you tell a little bit what we're looking at this moment?
Yeah, well, this is ripples. All these squares are based on traditional Portuguese styles. One of the characteristics of my work, as many already knows. But then I changed the vision completely, and a contemporary and three-dimensional way. This is a stoneware and only one color, but I use a wood kiln. So this is the reason you have a lot of colors. You put in the kiln in this different size and different temperatures, and what's happening inside the kiln, and he worked for me and finished this way. And a work based on human confrontations. We are gradually rippling, creating barriers, thinking that is this way we are protected. Hence concentrations in the center, or the rising of the berries, when in reality loneliness is one of the main desires of humanity. So this is the question of the work.
Okay. And when you started this work, did you know how it would look like?
I imagine what I wanted, and I work with the kiln. I know the kiln more or less, so it's like I have an idea, and I hope the kiln will work with me. Sometimes I have a good surprise, sometimes I have bad surprise, but
Okay.
this is what I like it in the wood kiln. So
Is it your own kiln?
It's
Did
my
you?
kiln. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So you.
constructed with my three friends.
Mhm.
We construct the kilns. Yeah.
So you have it in your garden.
No, I lives in 25 20
Kilometers?
no 25 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too far. In another village, a small village in the
Right.
landscape. So
Mhm.
I have a small house there. Well, my parents have, and I have there my wood kiln. So I make everything in Porto. I live in Porto, in the city. I pack it, and I use the kiln very far.
Okay. The image what we are looking, the last one, was that I couldn't see it precisely. Was it the
It's
same
exactly the
one?
same work,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in
Okay.
the different positions, because it's very three-dimensional. So if I put in the front, you lose a lot of details. In the photo, you lose too, but
Yes.
for helping a little, maybe. I hope.
What is the size?
The size is the 1 meter per 30 centimeters, I think, per
Ah,
1
yeah.
meter more or less. No, it's not too big.
Okay.
Usually I make bigger, but in the competition we never can. So we
All
need to
right.
show
Okay.
small works.
And this is what you do? You are really into tiles?
Sorry?
This is your specialization, working with
Yeah,
these?
well,
Yeah.
I prefer work for the wall
Mm-hmm.
with the three-dimensional works, but I make sculptures too for gardens, for house, inside, outside, whatever. But usually I prefer work walls. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I guess that the clay is from Portugal?
No.
No?
No. I try some clay from Portugal, but in fact I don't like it. And I work in the Spanish clay with the
Okay.
different colors. Yeah, sorry, Portugal.
And why don't you like the Portuguese clay? What's is it?
The quality is not very good,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have a lot of different colors. And usually I use black, white, brown, a lot of colors, red. And in Portugal we don't have. We have only one color.
Okay.
So, and it
Yeah.
included more expensive.
Yeah. You don't use glaze, right?
No, I never use glaze.
Never.
I
Okay.
lose. No, I think at 20 years I lose the glaze, and I don't want nothing with him.
Okay. So that's what you have in common with Kosmas.
Yeah, I
No,
listen.
glaze. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for now.
Okay. We're
Please stay
waiting
with
for
us.
next step.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
later on we'll
Okay.
get back to you. And it was very nice to meet you and see your work. And I hope we can switch to Sara. Yes. And I think we
Do you
also
hear
have.
me?
Oh yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, great.
perfect.
So
Hi, Ranti. Nice to see
hi.
you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Where are you right now? In which part of the world are you?
I'm in Leipzig, where I live, so in Germany, back home.
Okay, okay, great. Because I didn't ask the other artists, but it's nice to know where you're based.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for this image and also for the work that you sent to the Premio Faenza. Can you tell us a little bit what we're looking at this moment?
Yes, of course. I think it's not really from the presentation that I sent. So, but we can also look on this one. Like there was a different, but we will. I think it's from today. Like I sent one yesterday, but we can also talk about the works that we see here. So maybe first I can just start to introduce myself a bit for the people that don't know me yet. So my name is Sara Pschorn. And I'm a sculptor, and I'm mostly working with ceramic, and I'm based in Leipzig in Germany. And I have my own studio here for ceramic, and I studied in Burg Giebichenstein. It's an art school that is also a bit well known for ceramic. They have a good ceramic department. So I studied there to do ceramics. But I also studied in Israel and Jerusalem for 1 year. When I was studying, I work with clay since I'm a child. But when I really get into it, when I was studying, I started to work with historical shapes of vessels. And I think a lot of artists that are working with ceramic are interested in these historical shapes. And I was especially amazed by the epoch of Baroque, also where the European porcelain was founded in Meissen, which is a city close to Dresden. And I was born in Dresden, so I think all my life I was really surrounded by Baroque architecture. So I was really interested in these shapes, but also to make them my own and to combine them with some really personal handwriting, like sculptural handwriting, and own ideas. And what you can also see in all these pieces is that I add found objects. So in this piece, for example, it's called soft chrome, and there is a little metal foot, you could say. And these are usually objects that I collect on flea markets, or I just steal from friends or whatever, whenever I see something that inspires me. So for these kind of pieces, the found object comes first. So I see the found object, and then afterwards, I start to create the ceramic body around it or on top of it. Yeah.
And like this piece, do you give the works a name?
Yes, I do. Usually I have a series. So it is a bit like I have a group of works, and for me, they are a bit like family, relatives. So they have connection to each other. Some of them were born in the same time. Others were made after one. So they have kind of these relations to each other. But most of the time they have a name by themselves. And I think the name really often comes from pop culture or from the material itself. It's really different. But this is called soft chrome. Yeah, I think it has a kind of softness, and in the same time it has this metallic look that is also created by the use of platinum and by the found object, of course.
And then here's another one.
Yeah, that's a different one. It's also made of porcelain, and it has a little glass foot, like from, I think usually you would use it to eat ice cream from. So the body that comes on top of it is also in the beginning made on the wheel. So I really like to use the potter's wheel as a starting point, because it can create like a volume really fast. And you can always see the movement of the wheel. And so I think that's quite a dynamic structure. And afterwards, after the wheel, I start to deform it and to change the directions, and also to look a bit how the material behaves. because I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it's always so strange. Porcelain, most of the time, we see it as such a perfect, like in perfect shapes. But when you work with porcelain, like especially porcelain clay that is used exactly like normal clay, I don't know, but for me, it doesn't behave really perfectly. Like it always collapses, and it has its own ideas of gravity. And for me, it's like I really like to show the character of the material as well.
Yeah. Okay. What is the name of this one?
And this piece is called Sirène, like the mermaid, but the dark one. So Sirène is a work. It's a pity that we don't have the detail here. But you see the porcelain body, and on top I added some structures from shells, so it looks a bit like shell structures, and in the middle you see a little figure, and this figure is myself. It's made by a 3D scan and a 3D print and a mold, so I press molded in porcelain afterwards.
Okay.
So it's also a bit like maybe a little portrait of myself, because I always wanted to be a mermaid when I was a child. So this is a picture of me in my studio with some raw porcelain bodies. And like you see, I also I really enjoy working in bigger scales now. So it becomes a bit like a human body itself. I think that's really interesting to experiment with when you work with ceramic and the vessel. Yeah.
I think we missed each other when you were at the European Ceramic Work Center. I think I left already, I think, right?
No, we just met, but really shortly.
Okay, all right. Did you work in a large scale up there?
Yes, in EKWC, I did a sculpture that was around 2 meters. So it's a huge chorale piece, also a bit like an underwater sculpture. And it's now at the moment on show at a museum show in Bremen. There's a museum called Gerhard Marx Haus. It's a museum focused on sculpture. So I have a solo show there right now, and all my work is there. Just the work that will be in Faenza.
Exactly. So, well, I suggest better go to Faenza, because there's the best piece, right?
Definitely.
All right. Okay. Well, Sofia, thank you very much for this one. And sorry, Sara. Sorry, and it is nice to see your work also on the screen. But of course, it's much better to see it in real life. And now we have Lisa in the room.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Right? Nice to meet you. And probably some ask, what is why do we have these artists in this follow-up? Well, the first ones were in alphabetically order, but there are two who are younger than 35, and that's Sara and Lisa. So that's the reason that we have you right now. And this is the work that you, which is selected for the prize. Yes. Can you say something about what you made?
I made this piece. It's slab built, and it consists of 26 single building blocks, basically. And I started to deal with pressure, tension, and traction. And so I built the single blocks with slab building techniques, and then I assemble them together. And after that, I put webbing around and put the sculpture under pressure by pulling from different directions. So this is how the deformations come to the work. So when it's still in wet state,
yes,
I do these deformations on it.
Aha, that's how you did it. Oh, couldn't figure it out. Okay.
Yeah. And I really enjoy clay when it's still wet. And I was really struggling actually with the fired clay by its look. So I was looking for some way or technique or something I could add instead of glaze to the surface. And so I discovered this flocking technique. So I applied nylon flocking on top instead of a glaze. So the whole piece is covered in a velvet surface and really soft. So yeah, I really like this sort of transformation, or between soft and squishy, but it's in real life it's really hard, of course, because it's fired ceramic.
Mm-hmm. And can you still see it, this ceramic?
Yes, you might see it when you look at the fractions and where it's sort of broken, you might see it. But from far, some people think it's some soft, squishy foam.
Okay,
actually.
all right.
Yeah.
The image is quite small, but can you see that that are broken pieces, or that it is really distracted?
Do you mean the other people or me?
Yeah. No, if you see it in real.
Yes. You can see it. You can see the broken, like, what is it? You can see slits, squished parts, and it's all around, because the webbing has been all around the whole sculpture, and then it was pulled. So you can see some destroyed parts all around the sculpture.
Okay. And with this work, how did you start? Did you first make a drawing, or did you just start building with the blocks?
Actually, I started with a drawing, and then I made a model in a smaller scale, and after that I built this one.
And then the model from ceramics as well, or paper?
Yes, from ceramics as well. Yeah, because sorry.
No, please.
Yeah, I was really interested in breakage, and also, I mean, this breakage is part of working with ceramics. So I started with the breaking part already in the wet state of building it. Yeah.
What is the size of the piece? Because that is not that clear, I think.
It's about 70 centimeters high and like 40 to 50 centimeters.
All right.
Is the ground measurements.
Yeah. Okay. And is the next piece that so this is the work which is selected?
Yes.
And are you continuing with this way of working?
I still do, and right now I'm sort of transforming these flocking parts also into some smaller and bigger scale, because I'm working with destroyed wall in actual spaces and trying to put flocking on there. So I still work with ceramics, but also in a more sculptural way. Yeah, this is an older work, or a work that came before the pink one. Yeah, so with this work, I put it here because it shows where I started working with pressure. And I use this image of milk cartons because they also have this standardized sizes, which I find really interesting in reference also to human bodies. Yeah.
And then this one is also distracted also by pressing, or?
By pressing, yes. And also before firing in wet state.
Yeah.
Yes. The images are really small, but this work, it's called I Never Broke My Leg. There's a spelling mistake, unfortunately. It consists of ceramic pieces and pool noodles. So the swimming pool noodles you maybe know all from your childhood.
Yes.
And I work a lot with a feminist approach as well, and with the binary system of gender. And I was trying to sort of show this dealing with how you get assigned to a gender. And I feel like the swimming pool as a public space where you go as a child is a place where you maybe really get to this point where you get affirmed or assigned to a gender. And I think this is a sort of crucial point.
I can tell you, I hated swimming pools.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, thank you very much for this introduction to your work, because it's a great introduction, and I'm looking forward to see the work in real, especially the flocking effect, because of course at the image it looks very good, but you never know in real, right?
That's true.
So, okay.
I hope you will like it.
Well, me too. Well, let's see if there are any questions. And Claudia is getting back to us, as well as Elysia.
Elysia.
And probably, Elysia, you are the only one I didn't ask where you're based, or that we couldn't figure out.
That's a bit of a strange one, because these past few years, well, I lived in Italy for about 20 years, and with COVID, I had to leave, and I'm kind of between Cyprus and Italy right now. I have a deposit box in Italy where I go back and work my work, but I go front and forward and work also in Cyprus. So okay. I'm not very stable. I have a workshop, a studio here also, but it's a bit kind of on the air kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Maybe I think, should we go back to Claudia? Because I'm not sure if there are questions in the chat. I can't see it.
Yes, there is a question to Sofia. She answered on the chat, but it's better to record it. I put the question. Sofia, Karin Puccigrassi is asking you, how are you hanging your work? Do you have one panel, or do you hang every single piece?
Mm-hmm. In this case, I put the pieces in a wood, and according to the measure, I divide them. This piece is divided in 3 parts. This it's easier to transport and for putting on the wall. But depends. Sometimes it depends the size. Sometimes it's only one piece in a wood with glue in the wood. But if the piece is bigger, I separate it in parts, and we can move the easy way.
Yes, the problem of ceramic is always the shipping and the transport, especially
include
with
for our body, because
it's good for the body, yes, but sometimes not for the mind. Yeah. Okay, and there is another question, because of course, Lisa, your work is so particular, because it is a contrast. No, there is all this fragmentation and the velvet on the surface. So it is not the usual ceramic that we are thinking about. So there is a question for you. What do you add to your work in place of glaze?
Yeah, with the submitted work, I did not use glaze. I only fired up to 1100. And then I put this nylon flocking on top, on the surface. Yeah, there is a glue used and electrical voltage to apply it. Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. I don't know if it is fine as answer for Carla De Gregorio. So, Ranti, I think that we have a very nice panel of different experiences in this occasion, and also the fact that I put together Sofia and Sara because I think that they are starting from a tradition, and they change it in their own way. For example, I see a lot of Meissen in Sara, but developed in a very contemporary part. And of course, in Sofia, I see the tradition of tiles, which is now completely different. It became sculpture. And I really appreciate the social reflection of Kosmas in his work. So thank you very much for this. And about the work of Elysia, this idea of the movement, the coming inside and outside, and this form, which is a big vessel, and it's a kind of performance that you make in doing this big big sculpture, which started from the very beginning of the ceramic form, and it arrives to something completely different. So thanks a lot for this beautiful overview of your work, and we of course we are waiting for have a look in presence, and of course the opening will be June 30th. Please put on the agenda, because we would like to have a great a great party, returning back to presence, and for us it's that is a very great occasion. And before I will leave you the end of the talk, but I'd like to thank all the supporters of this edition, which are the Italian Ministry of Culture, of course, the Emilia-Romagna region, the municipality of Faenza, the Ravenna Cassa di Risparmio Foundation, Fondazione del Monte di Faenza, and Caviro, which are giving us the opportunity of exhibiting these 70 artists coming from all over the world. And before
and from my side, Claudia, from my side, thank you very much for doing all this great work. Not only you, but also everyone behind the scenes. Thank you very much.
Yes, for this reason, I'd like to thank Stefania, which is organizing all of these talks that are very stressing, because we are all online and we are not used to be on a monitor and on TV. And of course, Monica for the organization of the prize and the exhibition together with Elena. So, Ranti, what else? We will have another opportunity next Tuesday, same hour. Get tuned, because we will meet other 7 artists, and in particular we will be together with Nicola Boccini, Nicola Renzi, Chris Campo, Greg Daly, Antonio Fois, and Federico Branchetti, together with Dorna Abyak, that I really like to show her a video for introducing her works. As you said before, unfortunately, we were not able to have a good connection from Iran, but now the situation is not good. So thanks everybody, and thanks for being with us, and see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.